Morning, guys. Welcome to the channel. In about 15 minutes, there's going to be the arraignment on the Freund case. I have recently found the documents from DCFS, DFS, the Children's Division in Illinois, the past history on the family. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of it with you here. And everything I say is just information I've gotten from other media outlets, or if it's hearsay, I tell you it's hearsay. So I'm not always going to be 100% correct, and if I'm not, you can comment below and fix whatever I say. However, let's start here. The Department of Children and Family Services released a timeline Friday morning of its involvement with the family of 5-year-old Andrew A.J. Freund, whose body was found Wednesday in a shallow grave in Woodstock. His parents, Andrew Freund Sr., 60, and Joanne Cunningham, 36, have been charged with first-degree murder. Prosecutors said the couple forced the boy to stand in a cold shower for an extended period of time, then beat him to death. The parents are being held on a $5 million bond. That's nothing new. We know that. According to DCFS, the agency's first interaction with the family began in 2012. Prior to Andrew's birth, Cunningham was a DCFS foster parent who had 2 prior unfound cases in 2012. The first case was inadequate supervision, and the second case was risk of harm and environmental neglect. I'm assuming the environmental neglect was dirty household. Sorry, my cat was trying to get my coffee. October 2013, Cunningham gave birth to Andrew, whose toxicology screen tested positive for opioids and benzodiazepines. Your opioids would be your heroin, your pain pills. Benzodiazepines would be like your Xanax. Andrew was removed from his mother's care, and DCFS was granted temporary custody of him. Andrew was then placed with his cousin. I thought originally he was placed with his grandma, so I apologize if I said that, in what is called a relative foster home. At 18 months old, the court returned Andrew to the care of Cunningham. In December 2014, Andrew's younger brother was born and remained home with his mother. April 2016, the juvenile court closed Andrew's case and DCFS monitoring ceased. March 2018, DCFS began an investigation into allegations of neglect by his father and mother. The investigation was closed in May as unfounded, and Cunningham agreed to re-enter treatment. December 2018, DCFS began an investigation into allegations of abuse and neglect against Cunningham, following the removal of Andrew from the home by law enforcement. Bruising of Andrew was attributed to the dog, and an investigator determined there was no evidence to support deplorable conditions in the home. The investigation was closed in January as unfounded. April 18, 2019, Andrew was reported missing. After a nearly week-long search, he was found dead. During this time, Andrew's younger brother was placed in DCFS custody. He is now in the care of his cousin, a relative foster home. DCFS is currently conducting a comprehensive review of the agency's work with Andrew's family. Both the caseworker and the supervisor responsible for his case have been placed on administrative duties and will have no casework responsibilities as this review takes place. DCFS will also be reviewing all cases that have been handled by these 2 employees. All right, here is a timeline of DCFS and Freund and Cunningham's run-ins with them. I'm going to put it up so you guys can see it as we go over it, okay? Okay, here's the timeline. 6/7/2012, DCFS received a hotline call alleging inadequate supervision. The allegations were that Joanne is abusing prescription drugs and neglecting her foster child. The report was unfounded and expunged. 12-24-12 DCFS hotline received a call alleging environmental neglect and injurious environment as to her oldest son. The report alleged Joanna is abusing prescription drugs, has mental health issues. The report was unfounded and expunged. So pretty much those two the same. 10/16/2013, DCFS received a hotline report alleging substance abuse after Joanne gave birth to Andrew on 10/14/2013. Andrew and Joanne tested positive for opioids and benzodiazepines. The report was indicated for substance misuse. Andrew was removed from his mother's care during the investigation. 11/12/2013, DCFS takes protective custody of Andrew. 11/14/2013, DCFS is granted temporary custody of Andrew in juvenile court. Youth Service Bureau of Illinois is assigned to provide services to the parents and Andrew. The services would probably, since the court's involved, would your simple like parenting classes, probably substance abuse classes, and a worker in the home that I had stated in the video before. We call them here in Missouri FCS worker, a family-centered service worker. So there was a worker in the home while they had the temporary custody. Provide services to the parents, and that's what the services are. You get a worker in there to help, and you have classes you have to take. Joanne and Andrew's father participated in parenting classes, drug treatment, and continue to participate in methadone maintenance and individual counseling through a drug treatment program. June 2015, judge orders Andrew returned to the custody of his mother. Youth Service Bureau workers make 17 unannounced visits to the parents' home on all these dates. The worker does not observe any signs of abuse or neglect. 8/28/2015, workers informed the father's drug test was invalid. I'm assuming maybe he tried to dilute it, and that's why it came back invalid. Sometimes they will try to drink too much water, and it makes your urine tests come up. Oh, I can't remember the exact word, but invalid. April 2016, Andrew's juvenile court case was closed. 3/21/2018. So, couple years. DCFS received a hotline report that alleged substantial risk of physical injury, injurious environment, and environment neglect against the mother and father. The report alleged that the mother was brought to the emergency room after being found unresponsive in a car. Andrew was observed at the hospital to have odd bruising on his face. Usually, not always, but bruising on the face is usually an indicator of abuse. Not always, but more than not. DCFS investigator contacted the parents in unsuccessful attempt to see the children. That does not surprise me. They seem like someone that would do that. Like I had stated in the video before, you get these people that will not be willing to work with you, which is always a red flag as well. But continuing, 3/21/2018, 3/29/2018, and 4/9 and 4/25, DCFS investigator met with Joanne, Andrew, and his younger brother. Joanne was interviewed while the boys played outside in the driveway of the home. DCFS investigator observed the boys to be clean and did not find signs of maltreatment. Let me tell you, when you go to visit a family, I am assuming these interviews were probably known ahead of time. So, you coach your children to say and act a certain way. You scare them. And so that could be why there were no signs of anything. And the boys observed to be clean because she knew they were coming. You get the drift. 5/17, DCFS investigator completed a final safety assessment of the home. Both boys were observed to be clean and dressed appropriately. Mother reported a history of drug use and current drug treatment. The home was observed to be clean, neat, and adequately furnished. When was I want to see, 15? I mean, the house could have been clean. So it was on April 25th last year that the investigator met with Joanne, and Andrew and his younger brother. Yeah, it was definitely a planned meet because it seems like they tried to attempt 3 times to see them, possibly without giving them a heads up, and that wasn't working out, so they finally talked to him, and that's how they got to see him. I'm assuming, speculating, I don't know. That's just from experience. 5/17, DCFS investigator completed we already went over that, a final safety assessment of the home. That was probably scheduled as well. 5/18, DCFS investigator verified mother's participation in drug treatment program. The report from March 2018 was unfounded and the investigation was closed. 12/18, DC, so that was 7 months later, DCFS received a hotline report alleging environmental neglect as to both boys and cuts and welts and bruises as to Andrew. After being called to the home by the mother, police observed a large bruise on Andrew's hip. Police observed the ceiling falling down, the floor torn up, and the kids' bedrooms smelling of dog urine. Joanne was arrested for driving on a suspended license, and protective custody was taken of both children. Same date. DCFS investigator interviewed the boys at Crystal Lake Police Facility. Brother who would not talk to the investigator. I said this before. It is hard to get children that are abused to talk. Very hard. You try to build rapport. You try to get them to trust you. But they get pretty much brainwashed by their parents that we're the bad guys, that we're looking to move them into somewhere horrible than they already are now. Anyways. Okay. So, attempt to engage the younger brother who would not talk to the investigator. The child appeared to be healthy and well cared for. Andrew was interviewed and reported that he received the bruise when the family dog pawed him. So, the bruise from the dog was on his side. I think right here, yeah. DCFS investigator interviewed Joanne at the police station. I want to stop there. So there's been a lot of bruises from the dog. Maybe not a lot, I think 2. But still, that's what they chalk it up to every time. Oh, it's from the dog. And DCFS in Illinois just believes them. DCFS investigator interviewed Joanne at the police station. She stated they were remodeling the home and did admit to dog feces and urine being present in the home. DCFS investigator asked her to take Andrew to immediate care after she was bailed out. The father presented to bond mother out. Joanne requested to be tested for drugs. DCFS investigator ended protective custody and children were returned home. And I don't know where, it doesn't say here where they were put in protective custody. I don't know if they were with their cousin again or not. 12/18. ER physician examined Andrew and could not state how his injury was caused. The doctor reported injury could have been caused by a dog, belt, or a football. The doctor was concerned because Andrew stated that maybe someone hit him with a belt. Maybe mommy didn't mean to hurt me. Okay, so he's crying out for help there. DCFS investigator contacted the father to pick the children up from the hospital until the home environment can be assessed. The father was asked to remain in the home as a safety precaution. 12/19, DCFS investigator conducted an unannounced home visit. The home was observed. The living room and dining room were cluttered with clothes and toys. The kitchen was clean and the floor was missing tile. The ceiling was not falling and investigators sensed a slight odor of dog urine. No feces or urine was observed on the floor. The father reported to the investigator that he did pick up the children from the hospital last night. The father denied any corporal punishment, and he denied mother using drugs. 12:20, DCFS investigator spoke with the past DCFS investigator regarding her case and findings. 1/4/2019, DCFS unfounded the report due to lack of evidence for cuts, welt, and bruises allegation. Is what's sad is the little boy finally said something about it up here, right? To the doctor a month before they closed the case, after he even stated it. Wow. Moving on. 4/18/2019, the police were called to the home in response to Andrew being reported missing, and DCFS reported a hotline report alleging environmental neglect and inadequate supervision. Police observed the home to have ripped up floors, food lying around, and clothes and garbage everywhere. 4/18/2019, DCFS investigator arrived at the Crystal Lake Police Department and spoke with the police. Protective custody of younger brother was taken. The younger brother was placed with a licensed foster parent. The younger brother was examined by a medical professional, appeared healthy, and showed no obvious visible signs of abuse or neglect. 4/24, police found Andrew's body and arrested Joanne and Andrew's father on charges of murder and other charges related to his death. This is what I want to know. Okay, so the little boy. Okay. When I'm trying to look at the 911 call. So I'm assuming this is the 911 call. And then the brother was removed because there was a child in the 911 call. I could hear the child. So that makes sense then. Okay. So that's what we have from DCFS at this point. I'm going to eventually try and submit for as much as I possibly can get. Anyways, the arraignment is going on as we speak. So I am going to keep an eye out for that, for more information and details in regards to the case. I am also going to be doing another session with Spirit and or AJ. So like, subscribe, share, don't. See you guys.